This is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And to begin the second part of our conversation on implementation of the new tax laws, first we take excerpt of the discussion we had yesterday, Monday. It was put together by our correspondent, Ibrahim Belogunda.
Policy objective of this tax reform was to ensure that Nigeria do not tax poverty, but tax prosperity. Nigeria do not tax capital, does not tax the seed, but tax what? It taxes fruits. And so the major underlying objective is to stimulate the economy, ensure that the younger ones or the small businesses can grow before financing government. And while the large businesses that are in the sector can have rules that make tax neutral, which means that you do not even think about tax before doing business.
Essence of tax is to give efficiency. Efficiency in business transactions. So whatever prospect that you are looking in stock exchange, in investment, in portfolios, there is need to understand the type of tax that is attached. The company income tax, the profit after tax, all these things. But the compound nature is what this administration of tax is trying to regulate. That is, charging multiple taxes, harmonizing them will make it more efficient and will make it more friendlier.
Law has provided what we call tax dispute resolution. In case you disagree with any assessment given to you, nobody will remove money from your bank account. If the tax officials feel that you're not paying tax, they can only raise assessment. If they use data analytics to discover you have a lot of transactions in bank account that you're not filing your returns and not paying, they will just raise an assessment to you. And the law says when an assessment is raised for you, you have 30 days to object. And that's section 41. Section 141 says you also have opportunity to sit down with them and do reconciliation and settle it amicably. If it doesn't work, you also have opportunity to go to tax appeal tribunal.
If as a bank, I go to a community and tar their road, it's my business. I was just promoting my corporate social image.
Okay.
My tax liability is not affected by what I do. But I want to see where we create a framework where if you are able to do this, government wants X, Y, Z done. If a corporate organization say, I want to do this particular one, I should be able to give them tax credit for doing it. And that way we can be able to put, some specifications to what we do, how our tax revenue is actually being used in promoting development.
Many thanks, Ibrahim Belogunda, for the excerpt. Now joining us again for the conversation is Femi Olarinde, Head Fiscal and Tax Reform Implementation Division, Nigeria Revenue Service. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me again.
All right. Also here for the conversation is Benjamin Enamudu, the Chairman, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Abuja, and District Society. Good to have you. Join us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. We also have seated here in the studio, Farouk Abdullahi is a financial analyst. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Happy New Year.
Good morning, Nigeria. Happy New Year too.
It's good to see you.
All right, so we'll continue this conversation. And of course, for those who watched, I'm sure you saw Femi Olarinde with us yesterday. So we'll just pick up from where we left off yesterday. So many issues to talk about. Some have been dealt with yesterday, but of course, maybe a refresher would also do some good to, some viewers. But I'd like to pick up from the point of the tax authorities, in all of this. From what we've heard, these laws have come to stay, irrespective of the controversies, concerning it. But I want you to speak about if the tax authorities, that's talking about the NRS now, if it has the manpower, the data integrity, as well as technology to implement these laws fairly.
Okay, thank you very much. That's actually a very good question to ask. And when people ask why you're transforming from FRS to NRS, what do you think will change? And truly, these are the ways to go. We are moving from the era of brick and mortar to digital era now. And so, some of the issues that is bringing controversy And what do you need in terms of this? Yes, the first thing, capacity building of you need to transform the capacity of your manpower from the coming forward from the manual system to the traditional system to digital, and which we've been doing for quite a while now. You know that the FIRS had launched its own digital system for tax administration. And we've done that as far back as almost 5 years ago, over 5 years ago. So we had transit digitally before now. Now we are now moving to another realm of tax administration. So when you look at the face of tax administration, we have what we call tax administration 1.0 to about 5.0, and that's moving digitally. So for digital, we have invested in a lot of technology, and that will ensure that everything we do is digitalized, up to our operations, not just even tax administration, even operations within the system, talking about personnel, even handling personnel. If you go to our headquarters today, people log in through biometrics, and people log in through facial recognition. That's how our staff sign in. So to ensure they are on duty. Moving from that to also our procurement system and some other systems, we ensure that a lot of them are digitalized. And moving on to the NRS, we continue to train our staffs every day. A lot of people have said they've not seen much of our sensitization about the tax reform. And why is because we are equipping our staff first. Because they are the one that can better do the job. Sensitize Nigeria, tell Nigerians what it is. So we have been doing weekly training of the staffs. In fact, it's a culture that's been embedded since about July that the bill was passed, that every week there must be a technical session in every office. So to bring people up to speed, because they are the one we're sending out. So you need to disciple them first. So also looking at handling data. Now, data is the new oil, and data is very big. And that is why we also know that we are not, so what we do, the law already provides how to handle data. So, and we ensure, the whole thing we're doing now, we're talking about tax ID. You heard that we've launched a tax ID portal, so that it makes it seamless for people need to register, to just go online and say, tax ID, the website is www.taxid.nrs.gov.ng or taxid.jrb.gov.ng. It ensures that people can register seamlessly, whether as a corporate or as a person. And these are all what has been done to ensure that we move from the era we are coming from, which is a bit, and make it seamless. Payments. You can pay your taxes from the comfort of your room. And so these are things we do, and we are sustaining them. We are expanding our IT infrastructure to ensure that the glitches that some people do during peak period, you know, taxation, tax payment and filing have peak periods. So in those peak periods, that's when you test the capacity of your IT infrastructure. And we are expanding to ensure that we can, as this tax reform is trying to bring more people into the tax net, that we are also ready for them.
You know, I asked you that question, Mr. Olarinde, because, you know, there's a part about this whole tax laws that talked about people having to, you know, declare what it is they did with the income or expenditure in their accounts. And that would mean interfacing with the NRS officials, right? So how are you going to be trained? When you talk about training, first and foremost, tell me if it's all your staff across the country or it's just those in Abuja, because I mean, they're going to be dealing with Nigerians in every state, so we don't begin to hear stories in you know, remote areas and all of that. But speak about how your staff will be able to deal with clients who come in to declare what it is they have gotten and what they have not gotten, or how they spend. Because I mean, you know, I was listening to the chairman of the tax reform, yeah, Taiwo. I was listening to him when he was talking about if you spent on, say, hospital bills, school fees, and all those are not taxable and all of that. So imagine someone comes in and is talking to an NRS official, and maybe, I mean, you suspect that something is wrong. What kind of training is your staff getting to be able to deal with such individual to get the truth out of it? Out
Okay,
of the whole
the
story?
first thing you need to get is that our staff don't even deal with individuals. So we don't deal with the individuals, we deal with corporates. And of course, corporates, have all the sophistication to understand the law. Most of them even have practitioners.
So who's going to deal with the individuals?
So the individuals are dealt with by the state tax authority. And what have we done to ensure we can also help with that? That is why we have the JRB, the Joint Revenue Board.
Are they being trained too?
Well, definitely. That is why Joint Revenue Board now they've started with policies, they're starting with unified training, unified capacity building, and all those things. We also have courses that they have what we call the preliminary inspector of tax course. We have the final inspector of tax courses, which some of us who are also experts in the field help to train, both at the federal, at the NRS, and also at the Joint Revenue Board. So we do a lot of exchanges. In fact, now, another thing, we also look in the law, also envisage what you have said, that some may not have enough capacity, depending on the state, because we also not say all the states in Nigeria do not have equal capacity. The law now provides something they call assistance. Assistance in what's that called? Assistant in collection also. So the assistant in collection, he allows a state that probably may not have capacity to ask another state or another entity, like you can ask NRS. NRS, can you help me support my administration in this area? So that, and in supporting, you, of course, you won't be supporting just by collecting the taxes. You'll also be supporting by ensuring that you train the staff of those states. So there's going to be some level of capacity building and the rest. And also, we do not limit it to even trainings and capacity building within our system, because now taxes have gone digital. We're talking about people that earn money over the internet. Today, people do a lot of remote business. There's one thing this tax law have even done that people have not spoken about. Before now, if you are a company and you reside, a non-resident company, and you employ in Nigeria, just by employment, you'll be liable to paying taxes in Nigeria. But you do not have any operation in Nigeria. But and that is because the old law, envisaged that before you can employ here, you must have business here. But the new tax law now knows that you can be in the UK, you can be in the US, and have no business in Nigeria. Yet you can have staff in Nigeria. And why? Because they work remotely. So the new tax law has now liberalized that provision to say you do not have tax obligation in Nigeria because you have employed. And what will that do? It will bring more employment to our teeming population that they can work remotely. And so the tax authority also now need to know those who are working remotely, how they earn their income, and how to tax them.
Okay.
So exchange of information is also the key to that one.
It's also the key. We have a lot of remote workers here in Nigeria, indeed. And there a lot of misinformation is out there about the new tax laws, some good, some bad. And Nigerians are in a state of confusion of, will it benefit me, will it not? So let's bring in Mr. Benjamin now. In your opinion now, what is the likely short and long-term impact of this law on the economy, because it concerns Nigerians?
All right, thank you very much. So there are quite a number of information out there that too many information are coming out all at once from different sources. The committee are speaking, the institute speaking, the NRS speaking,
the skit makers,
social media, the skit makers. So everybody is jam-packing information. So in addressing the question she asked earlier, which he has succinctly answered, we need to understand that Nigerian tax administration, there are powers and authorities at various levels of government. For individuals in Nigeria, the federal government is not responsible for taxing any individual, because I've read on social media where some people say, oh, Tinubu wants to come and collect the money in my account, and then they want to tax the money in my account, and Tinubu wants to, so the federal government is not responsible for taxation of individuals. So the various states in Nigeria do that. So for those of us who are resident in the FCTRs are responsible for our taxation as individuals. All right, so for companies, corporate entities, those are the bodies that the NRS is responsible for. So that is one major misinformation that people need to get right. So if you are talking about your tax as an individual, you are talking to your governor in your state.
How many states have domesticated the federal tax law?
Beautiful. So that is the second challenge that I wanted to come into. So as we speak today, about 6, 7, 8 states are at various level of domestication.
Only?
Yes, only. So it means that we still have a long way to go. So that challenge in itself, they are teething challenges. What we would like to see as transitional issues, transitional challenges. A lot of things in the arts are not expected to just go live on the 1st of January, boom, everything changes. Some of these things will take a little bit of time for us to transition to the level that the Act envisages. Part of what he talked about is ICT compliance. The Act envisages that the states would, most of the activities they will be doing will be ICT based. So with the infrastructure level vary from state to state. So some states might still be on brick and mortars like he has mentioned, but the idea generally is that everybody moved into ICT. So as individuals, I don't need to visit the tax office to pay my taxes. I can sit in the comfort of my home and file my taxes online.
And get a receipt on it.
Get my receipt.
The reason why I asked you this question is because during our newspaper review yesterday, some of the papers carried that some Nigerians are withdrawing their funds from banks, in huge sums. And they're afraid that, the government might take, like you said, the skit makers are telling them the government is coming to take your money. So how can these tax measures now sort of fuel inflation, or will it also slow consumer spending?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, these are transitional issues. Eventually, those people who move their money out thinking government would touch their account, they eventually bring it back when they realize that it doesn't work that way. Yes, there might be extreme instances where there might be a strain on your account and government might be forced. But the process is so lengthy and cumbersome. It has to follow, they have to give you a letter of intent, you have not filed, the government will write to you, you have right to appeal. There is a whole lot of processes involved before government can touch a dime in your account. But that is not the intent of the Act. The intent of the Act is actually to encourage voluntary compliance so that people on their own, companies and individuals, would voluntarily want to comply and comply with the law without government needing to chase you to do what you needed to do.
What you're supposed to do.
The information gap that some of us might have noticed is that for now it seems as if only at the federal level people are speaking. We also expect the states to start talking. The various chairmen of various state revenue bodies should start speaking to the citizens of the state so that the information is not coming from the top where everybody thinks that it's the federal government that is responsible for their taxation. So the states who have domesticated would also want to see what they have domesticated so that we also carry this education across. The gap is majorly because of ignorance. So we need a lot more enlightenment on the public and then let them know their rights and their responsibilities, and the limits of government power as regards tax.
Away from enlightenment, Mr. Enamadu, these tax laws were signed on the 26th of June, 2025. That's about almost 6 months.
Yes.
Do you think that, and then the insistence that implementation takes effect from 1st January this year. Looking at the preparation, I mean, we just listened to Mr. Femi, and he spoke about training still going on. Do you think that this implementation would have delayed a bit, just so that NRS is ready, Nigerians are ready, and we know what we're in for? Because it looks like we are in it. People are still trying to get their feet on. The states, 29 states, are yet to implement, or rather, to domesticate the law. So where are we?
Okay, so tax is law, and everything around taxation centers around the provisions of the tax law. We can't sit down. The federal government cannot sit down. The president or the NRS chairman cannot unilaterally extend implementation date. Don't forget, these laws are laws of the National Assembly. They are acts and they have been signed into law, so the implementation starts. What the government has done is that in line with our tax policies, which makes provisions that you must have at least given 90 days before implementation starts for any tax law to take effect. What we've had, you just like you mentioned, is almost 6 months. That's almost 2 times what the provision is. So for us to say we want to delay it before till we get everything 100%, like I said, it's a transition. It's a new set of acts, and like he said, even at the NRS level, they are still studying some aspects, equipping the staff to understand. But in terms of the details of the tax laws itself, it starts 1st January 2026. So we are already in it. We will progress. The implementation aspect will make some mistakes here and there. There will be some realignment and readjustments as we move on, as we progress. But at the end of the day, it's all the benefits of the society.
When you talk about mistakes, Nigerians don't want to hear that, because, I mean, imagine if you're overcharged. How do you get a refund?
Oh, no.
So we don't want to hear mistakes.
The system is not programmed to overcharge anybody.
We don't want to hear mistakes.
Maybe
Anyways.
undercharge.
No, anyways, let's get to Mr. Farouk Abdullahi.
yes.
I would like to get him back into this conversation. I mean, very interesting. Talking about people withdrawing money from banks. By the way, the 15 naira that used to be deducted almost every day.
They say it's not stamp duty.
Stamp duty, whether or not, I think for those who used to receive, in the past, I don't see that debit anymore. So, I mean, that's good news for me. But you see, Mr. Farouk Abdullahi, I'd like to get to you as we talk about this. Part of the tax laws is the taxation of the informal sector. We're talking about taxing the informal sector, but how realistic is this, considering the fact that the government itself does not support or regulate that sector?
Well,
or has failed to structure it?
well, structuring, I believe, is something that has been in progress, for quite a while. And you see developments as such, like the tax law and all of this, it comes with anxiety in terms of expectations of individuals, those even within the formal sector and the informal sector as well. So definitely this, again, has been driven by, the wrong narratives that is put out there by some social media influencers and, probably some political, agents that are trying to misguide the generality of the public in terms of, the benefits that this tax laws comes with. So even the informal sector, I think there's always, there is the analog way of, collating tax and all of such. And if you look at the responsibility at the federal level in terms of tax laws implementation and at the state, levels, you see that a lot of things, harmonization needs to be done in that aspect. And that is why it is really important that states get encouraged, to implement the new tax laws, because most of the ungoverned spaces or the informal sectors, you see, they comes from within the states, So that is why it is important that they get captured and all of that. And we have seen we are in the era of digitization today, people are being encouraged to at least have their bank verification numbers, those that have account numbers, and also the national identity numbers. So even those within, the informal sector, as far as you are a Nigerian, it is mandatory upon you to have all of these things. And that is why there should be a collaborative, efforts by some of the government agencies that are, saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that, the right database is being captured. So, this would enable and it would ease, the tax implementation processes across the entire country. So I think it's something that I see it happening, but, implementation comes in phases. At what phase are we today? The wrong narrative that is being sent out has to be corrected, and this is why, we are all here today. And I believe, the tax, implementers are all out there, sensitizing Nigerians and all of that. And I think more of that We need more of that so that people would understand, you know, the benefits, the reliefs that comes with this tax law for personal income earners at individual levels. If during the old tax system, you know, your monthly income is within the minimum wage bracket, you're paying at least 7% tax. You know, even from the first naira you make, you will have to pay that 7% as tax, you know, based on the old tax law. But in the new tax, you know, law, you would pay nothing, you know, in your first earning up to, you know, 800,000 naira. So this benefit keeps, you know, growing. You make ₦1 million monthly, you would pay as, in the old tax system, you would pay as much as 24%. But in this new tax law, you would pay as little as 13%. So you can see the huge relief, you know, in terms of, you know, the benefits that individuals get. It's quite significant. And that is why it is important, even those in the informal sector get sensitized, you know, on the benefits of it. And in that way, compliance would become much more easier and achievable.
Yes, talking about sensitization, you know, Nigerians feel there's not much enough information there. But while I was researching this topic, I saw there was so much information, you know, on the new tax reform, so many, you know, out there that you can just click at the tip of your fingertips to get information. Unfortunately, you know, in Nigeria, we don't want to read. We just want to get the information out there. And one issue that was raised yesterday during our conversation was the issue of the subnationals keying into the vision of the federal government, because most times the federal government does something and then the subnationals are there and the citizens do not ask questions. When do you think we'll begin to ask our subnational questions, that you collect multiple tax because their tax has not been harmonized? The federal government tax has been harmonized. So what process needs to be done to harmonize the state tax so that it can align with the vision of the federal government?
You see, we have leaders, and as a people, we need to hold our leaders accountable. You know, each at the state level, at the local levels, you know, we have representatives who are saddled with the responsibility of, you know, oversight functions, you know, on the executives, what they are doing in terms of implementing what, you know, would give succor and relief to the people. So it's good we become, you know, politically active at all levels, you know, hold our leaders accountable, ask them questions, why this is not happening and why is that happening. But at the heart of it also, these individuals or people need to understand the benefits that this tax laws comes with. And by so doing, they will definitely hold their leaders accountable. And it's high time we start doing that. You know, it's through, you know, the political process. It's the political process that brings about leadership. And it is leadership that brings about, good leadership brings about, you know, good governance, and that translates into, you know, the betterment of, you know, individuals and, you know, a people at large. So I think it is important at the heart of everything, we hold our leaders accountable. Why are the states or at the local level not implementing this thing, since it is at the benefit of, you know, the individuals? And it's something that naturally should flow. Nobody needs to tell any, you know, state or local government to implement or to do what is right for their people. It's something that they should be on the front seat in saying that they implement. They should be racing towards that. And, you know, it's high time our governors, you know, at all levels, you know, look at that and try to implement it as quick
I like
as
the fact
possible.
that you said that they should be racing towards that.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Femi, like yesterday, I told you we won't be asking all the questions ourselves. So we'll be getting some response from our viewers. I'm going to read some of them because they are directed at you. This one said, Lucy from Abuja, please, I want to know if I will be taxed when I move funds between my different personal accounts. I have an account for savings, another for house maintenance, another for salary and personal expenses. She's writing from Abuja. And Captain Wale Buhari said, good morning, now with this new tax reform, what is going to happen to those paying double tax before? For example, I am from Lagos State but based and work in Rivers State. After paying huge amount of tax to the Rivers State government, back home, I have to pay another tax. Is it normal to do so? And another one, Suleiman Y said, my question is, how can an assessment be raised without having access to the citizens' account, our bank accounts, now being monitored for tax purposes by the government? Mr. Femi.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I answer all those questions, I would like to just chip in something from the issue of domestication does not come when it comes to some laws.
Okay.
Personal income tax, the states don't need to domesticate. The law is there, they just apply it. So what they are domesticating presently is that the Joint Revenue Board had come together and also helped to harmonize taxes at the subnational. So because the federal government cannot do that because of fiscal federalism. So the Joint Revenue Board came together, agreed with the state and say, okay, we don't want to collect all those numerous charges and levies. So let's have a simple rule and taxes. So that was now done by Joint Revenue Board. And that is what the states are now domesticating to ensure that they've also joined in the harmonization of the tax reform. And so, also to be frank, to actually give some credit to the states, this time around, everybody is actually joining the train because many
But
of
we
them
have only
are
8
now,
states out of 36.
So what they're
and
doing, of course, they will study what has been presented to them, but that does not mean they are not going to implement the tax reform. There are laws that they cannot, they don't even have, like personal income tax now. The states don't have any other choice. They must apply what the National Assembly has. So because it's under the concurrent list, and so once the National Assembly legislates over something, the state cannot go ahead and do otherwise. But the ones that they have power to do, which are the levies and all those ones, are the ones they are now domesticating based on. So let me go, so the JRB is coordinating that. And harmonize, and that's about harmonization and subnational.
When you talk about study, the states are still studying, staff are still being trained. Is the tax law so complicated that it's taking, so
I'm
long
sure if
for
it's not complicated, you will not need all this explanation.
Yes,
Tax is actually a complex
I would like
topic.
him to respond to
So
the
let me
issues,
respond
to the
straight.
questions that
So
I read out
moving
from
money
people.
between accounts, like I said yesterday, nobody taxes accounts.
Okay.
You are even supposed to declare your income yourself and pay your taxes. So if you move money between accounts, it's the account that I said it, that what you use your account to do is part of your, just to prove your income. And so at that point where you're proving your income, you prove the same income I move from here to there. It's just exchanging things between one and to the other. And of course, it does not, if that income has been taxed in the first, before you put it in the account, because it's savings that go to your account, they would have taxed the money before getting there. Whether it's withholding tax or if payee, it goes there. Nobody taxes it. And if it has not been taxed, you can also prove this is the same income. Okay. And so if I move it between two accounts, it's still the same income.
Okay,
so,
this double taxation from Rivers.
So what is, there's nothing like, what is double taxation?
Not
There's
that he
nothing
pays
like
tax
taxation.
in Rivers and then he
Yes.
pays tax in Lagos too.
So he did not also say what tax is paying in Rivers and Lagos. Probably he's talking about income tax. The only time
it can't be income because he said he pays heavy amount of tax. Maybe he has a company there or something.
Why we say heavy amount of tax? What is heavy? What is heavy? So, but what can happen is that today, if you're a resident of the FCT, let me say, and you pay your taxes in FCT, if you decide to take up a property in Lagos or something, the Lagos state asks you for evidence of your taxes. And many times when you bring something from FCT, and I'm not saying Lagos State alone, it can happen in any state. They tell you and look at it and say, okay, how are we sure you have paid enough? So they start conducting an audit and all those things. And that is one of the essence of also the harmonization. So if you have a single thing, what it means is that your tax records can be online. The state can also exchange information with FCT and say, oh, this man said he's a resident of your, okay, can we see like a tax clearance certificate showing that he has actually fulfilled his obligation in that place? So it will help to reduce, and that is one of the harmonization that we're saying that states are domesticating now, to ensure that they can trust themselves and you do not need to pay tax across board. However, if you have another base somewhere and you have another base somewhere, there may be like property taxes that may be due, and that is not income tax. It's only income tax that follow residence.
And this
If
one
you
is
have
saying
property tax, of course, if you have a property in a place, you need to pay taxes for
an
it.
account being monitored. Yes.
So I know account is being monitored. Like I said, the best your account is used for is an evidence of your income, for documentation.
So how then are you going to detect those who are not in regular employment and who try to evade tax?
So the law says that you yourself should declare your income and pay your tax. Not government declaring, not government charging you to tax. So the assessment we practice in Nigeria is self-assessment. It's only when you have failed to do so. Huh?
How would you know an individual has failed?
Okay.
If you are not
Because you have
monitoring their
not come.
accounts?
You have not come forward. No. It's not about account. So
how are you going to get the data of every Nigerian who is up to the age, working
So we
age?
don't need to
Who
get
has
the
an
data
account?
of every Nigerian. So one thing is, the tax authority don't need to chase after every Nigerian. The tax authority chase after income, not Nigerians.
Income in bank accounts?
No, not income
Okay,
in bank
so how
account.
do you want to trace income?
It's income. So now you are yourself are supposed to declare. That is the
So
first
if I don't
level.
come forward to declare, how do you trace?
If you don't come forward, so now there are triggers. There are things that triggers the tax authority. If you don't come forward, now there are what we call intelligence. Your bank account is just one source of it. It's just one source. It may be a transaction, you did a contract with a government agency, it's another source. It may even be you even imported a good. It may be one source. You have not paid any form of tax, and the custom has shown that you paid, you imported a Lamborghini into Nigeria.
It's on record.
That's an intelligence. The tax authority can look at it and say, oh, this man has never registered an imported Lamborghini. I think we need to pay him a visit.
So technically you're going after a certain group of individuals?
No. You're not going after groups. You're going after tax defaulters. And that will be when you have also refused to fulfill the obligation of declaring, self-declaring. And now, those information will just be used as some evidence, as data, in now providing what government call a government assessment. And like Dr. Ben said, when government have gotten those data, they now send you an assessment. Say, oh, from the data we have, maybe according to your import, according to your account, according to contracts, we think you should pay this tax. Please, pay.
When you send, are you going to send via email or addresses? I don't know. I'm trying to find out how
we
you
can send physically, but we know we have portfolio companies. We have people who are who don't stay in one place that we may not be able to see. Now the law empowers the tax authority to also send you assessment electronically. So any electronic means we can see, we can also serve you as assessment. Now, the law allows you within 30 days to also respond.
If I don't?
What does silence mean? Silence means what? That you have agreed that what we have said is correct. Now, after that, that is when government can now say, okay, I think I need to look for a way to get this person. But you know one thing? People who are worried about this process are people who should be worried that the big corporates that can even be seen, not people who have 50K in their account. And also, you know one thing, the way tax is ensuring that, and again, that is equity, one of the principles of taxation. If one man is paying, the other man should also pay. So if government cannot do anything about those who are not paid, they will discourage those who are paid.
So you didn't say what happens when the person doesn't respond after 30 days.
No,
what happens? How do you deduct the tax?
No,
what do you
you
do?
can't. So when the person doesn't respond after 30 days, that means that he has agreed that the assessment raised on it is correct. And what they say is that that assessment may now become valid and conclusive. And when it becomes that, what government now needs to do, that is to start looking for how to get money from you. Now, there's something called power to substitute you for wherever you can get your money. And they will send and what we call, so government will now move to probably go to court, get what they call a garnishee. And of course, you'll be informed too. So all those things. So the process, even of doing enforcement, is as long as over 6 months. But do you think if the money is not big, a government will invest in
Okay,
that?
so technically there's a category of people. Anyways, let's read some
You
more
see what?
messages.
Definitely there's what?
There's a category that you're after.
Yes, because there's something also in taxation called the principle of economy. If I want to collect 1 million, I should not also use 2
1 million to chase it.
Okay. So,
all right. Let's read some more messages. By the way, want of viewers to know they can also be part of this conversation. The number is on the screen, so those yet to send in their comments and questions can do so. This one here is from Mohammed Sharif Badamasi. He says, and even a place called Alagbole,
Alagbole.
Okay,
Alagbole.
thank you. In Ogun State, the residents have refused to pay property taxes because of the absence of meaningful infrastructure in our communities. Have we broken any tax law? All right. Another one says, good morning, host and guest. A guest said the tax law which is harmonized is the federal tax. My question is, if I live and work in Lagos and also pay income tax in Lagos, will this new federal government tax law also charge me for income tax again? Well, I'm sure you get what the person is trying to say. Daniel Uche sends that. You respond to all the comments. This one says, good morning. Please, what of the POS vendors that withdraw up to 2 million naira a day and earn 5,000 naira to 6,000 naira a day? How are we going to be taxed? That's Linda from Onitsha. Another one says, honestly, I appreciate the clarity provided. However, why begin implementation when the states have not yet been harmonized? I operate a business account and I would like to understand how this tax will affect me, especially considering that my business name is an SME. Ebunuwa Shedrack sent that. This one says, what are the potential risks of non-compliance with the new tax laws in Nigeria? And how can individuals and businesses mitigate these risks, particularly in light of increased data sharing between financial institutions and tax authorities? That's Arizona from Aba in Abia State. All right. I think you can just...
no, he can respond, then we come back. Mr. Ben.
Okay, so I'll take some of the questions. The gentleman that asked if after paying state tax laws in Lagos, if he's still liable to pay federal tax. Okay, so no, for your income, you don't pay any federal taxes. But there are transactional taxes, like the VAT, which you pay where you engage in transactions. Those ones are of different scope. But as an individual, once you pay your tax to the state where you are resident, you are not liable to any other income tax. However, if you run a business or you own a company, your company will still pay tax. Don't forget, the company is seen as a distinct legal entity separate from its owners. So you can have yourself as an individual, you can have 4 or 5 companies that you do business with. So apart from the tax you pay as an individual to the state where you're resident for your own income, you will still be liable to pay taxes for the companies that you operate in. POS vendors, how are they going to be taxed? Well, the POS vendors are captured under the informal sector, like we are looking at. So the law envisages presumptive taxation around people that are in the informal sector. So the Act said that the state are supposed to give us guidelines, modalities, how these persons are to be taxed. But I think the idea generally is that government is trying to bring these people in to formalize their businesses. So you will recall that government has said that if you have a business and your turnover threshold is below 100 million naira, you are not liable to pay company income tax. So that means a lot of persons that are in the informal sector now will want to move to the formal sector, formalize their business, register as companies, so that they can take advantage of these laws. And then when they scale up, when they get bigger, government now comes and is able to assess some of these taxes that they are liable to pay. So the emphasis for government is not on the POS, because these people are just trying to survive. So, but that's not where government is looking at. Like he mentioned, we also, when we talk about tax, we talk about the principle of economy. You have to look at the money you are using to chase the tax you are getting. Don't forget, tax is also a revenue source for government. So if the money I'm going to use to chase the POS persons is more than what I'm getting from them at the end of the day, I'd rather allow them to do their business and thrive, help them to grow. When they scale up, the government has opportunity to get more money through that means. And then someone asked about if I have a business name. Okay, so in Nigeria, if you are running a business as an individual, you and your business are seen as one and the same. So at the end of the year, you are expected to file your return based on what you earn as an individual and the profit you have made from your business. So those are some of the things we also need to enlighten the public about. And then lastly, someone asked, what are the risks of non-compliance? Please try and comply. This act is a bit more punitive than the previous ones for non-compliance, because the idea generally, government is not trying to punish people for non-compliance, it's just to encourage you to go and comply. So I wouldn't want Nigerians to be thinking of what are the risks. Should I rather not comply and face the penalty? I think the best thing is for everybody to comply. The law has been made simple. The act says that as long as you have a tax ID, I mean, before now we talked about tax clearance certificate, but it has not been emphasized in the new act. The new act just say, just register for tax, and you are good to go. So if the government is not able to get the tax from you, good and fine. But the idea is that every taxable person in Nigeria is expected to have a valid means of tax identification.
So that we can enjoy good roads,
Exactly.
hospitals, schools, and all that. Okay, Farouk, while you respond to some of those, I would like to ask you the impact of this new tax law on the foreign direct investment and other sectors. How will it affect it?
Well, I think it will affect it positively, because the whole idea is that it's going to spur investment, especially those that are starting as small businesses. You know, there's a lot of tax reliefs for startups, you know, and businesses that are operating within certain threshold of income. So this will go a long way in spurring economic activities, and foreign direct investment, I think, also would flow in, because if you look at most of the developed economies, they operate an efficient taxation system. So as Nigeria today, and it's good that we are able, you know, to mark this achievement in terms of tax reforms in the country. So any sound business would, you know, register Nigeria as an efficient economy where everything is working in terms of the taxation system and other economic policies that are also working. So it gives this impression that this is a very healthy environment that we're operating in. You know, so I think foreign direct investment would also have a boost, you know, by virtue of the confidence that will be built in the system, because if things are not working, if things are not efficient, it will scare and deter, you know, investment of any type, you know. So I think it's really a good one, and we should support it at every level, because it's going to help our economy and it's going to help us even at individual levels.
All right, many thanks, Mr. Abdullahi. I'd like to get back to Mr. Olarinde now. I'd like you to explain what the rent relief under this tax law means. You know, that's not being exposed enough, you know, so Nigerians can understand what that's about. And then speak about illegal taxes. I mean, would this new tax law eliminate roadblocks and all the levies we get to pay, or, you know, market women having to struggle with agberos and all? I know, does this take away all of that?
Okay, thank you. One thing with, let me start from the last one, is taxes collected by non-state actors. And, you know, that is one of the things the Joint Revenue Board was trying to agree with Dr. Ben talking about the harmonization from the presumptive tax. So trying to capture this informal economy into the tax net also is to provide a structure for them, so that where there's no structure, something fills it. So non-state actors come around. So if government was interested in collecting taxes from that area, they will protect it to the extent that they will be able to, once you're collecting taxes from there, of course, you stop everyone that will reduce that tax for you. So that's one thing Joint Revenue Board has come to do, to standardize that across states. Now, going back to your question about, what was the first question?
Rent
again?
relief.
Rent relief, okay. No, rent relief now is a way of government subsidizing your rent. Now, naturally, all your income would have been taxable. Then government is saying, okay, I'm going to give you some allowable deductions for your medical care if you contribute to NHIS, for housing if you contribute to housing fund, for pension when you provide for pension. Now I'm also going to give you what I call a rent relief. And that rent relief majorly is to take care of those in urban, so what they call urban poor, because they will look at the rural poor, most of the time don't really pay so much on accommodation. But the urban poor pay money on so much money because they also live side by side with the middle and high income earners. So it doesn't matter who you are. So government say, okay, I'm going to provide you a 20% of your income as a relief, or 500, up to the maximum of 500,000. So what it does is that before your income will be taxed, you remove that amount from what will be taxed. So it reduces your income. It reduces your taxable income, rather. But what is that it's also very targeted at those that pays rent. So if you do not pay rent,
How do you know those who pay rent and those who don't?
you must provide an evidence that you pay that rent. You must provide an evidence. So that is one thing with the rent
On what
relief.
platform will you provide the evidence? Online? You have to visit the
so like I said, you are expected to file your own returns yourself. So in the process of filing returns, it's part of the documentation you file. Say, okay, I have earned certain amount of income. I've taken away my deductions from NHIS, National Housing Fund, pension, contribution. What is the other? There's a fourth one. I've taken insurance. The law also allows you to take life insurance for your life and your spouse. So I've taken this. You take all those things away.
What about education insurance?
So what?
Education insurance.
Is there anything like that?
No,
Yeah, for kids, for children, people do that.
That's not.
You save for it, but it's not
You
insurance.
save for it.
There's
That's
no
not insurance. It's part of your income. It's part of your
income,
expenses.
yes.
Okay.
So you know, people who do that are people who have enough now. Who saves for education? Do you have enough to eat? Then you. So
I like the fact that people who have enough
to take all those one away to reduce the burden of tax on you, and so that's what the rent relief is. So government giving you a relief to kind of subsidize your rent, but you must prove that you pay that rent.
Okay, we have also some contributions that came in, but we'll need to take a break now. When we return, the conversation will continue. Don't go away. Risk assessment and, of course, the long-term benefit of these tax laws. So what are the biggest risks, in the implementation of these tax laws, and what should government watch out, like I asked you yesterday, in the first 1 year, and how will oversight function be done?
Biggest risk, you said?
Yes.
Okay,
to the implementation of this law.
It's still the misconception and misunderstanding of people. That's the biggest risk. Because when it comes to implementation, for the tax man, most of this, and also understanding, like I said, and when I said the understanding, is both from the taxpayer and the tax personnel. And that is why the first thing I said we are doing is to build our internal capacity, so they could have understanding. Now, people were taught taxes in fact, many of us who practice tax today, what we were taught in school, a lot of them have changed about our tax laws. And what we need to do is to first unlearn and relearn. So before you see a lot of people start talking, and that's why everybody needs to be on deck, the Charter Institute of Taxation, the professional bodies, everybody needs to be training. So one of the risks, like I said, is capacity of both the tax authority and I said for us, we have been doing that since the 6 months, since June, that this has been passed. Now, if taxpayers also do not understand, we envisage the fact that there's going to be a lack in the way they also report their transactions as this new year is coming. And also, not only them, every other players that come into it. Look at, we have those who are agents who collect taxes maybe as from the MDAs. You have even corporate individuals who also have one function or the other. So the greatest risk for me is the understanding of the law, and that's why sensitization is actually key. And that's why when you call us to come and speak, we don't hesitate. We ensure we're there whether it is convenient or not. And so for me, the greatest risk is to getting people to understand that we are moving to a new thing. And again, to get them to understand that this is more beneficial to them than what they think. And they should stop listening to the wrong news.
Talking about wrong news, which is the biggest misconception you'd like to correct at the moment?
That government is going to be taxing your bank accounts.
Okay, fantastic. Let's read some more messages. This one says, good day to you all. Please, I'd like to know if someone working with NGOs earning more than, the threshold, and he's already paying tax, I don't quite get this. Will this law affect him? Ukasat Zaro sent that. I don't know how much he's talking about here. He didn't quite quote a figure. This one says, good morning, gentlemen and ladies in the studio. To bring about transparency and accountability in the new tax reforms, what are measures the NRS is putting in place to ensure the taxes collected from Nigerians are remitted into the appropriate purse and not individuals' pockets?
Okay.
That's from Chris Simon. Another one says, good morning. My name is Israel Kwagu Kule from Makudi. What of those that are working with private sector that earn less than $1 million? Would they also pay tax? Another one says, are we now compelled to put a narration when sending money to our parents? If the narration is not there, will they now impose a 20% tax deduction from the receiver's account? That's from Joshua. I have another one here. This one says, good morning, everyone in the studio. Please, how will the new tax law handle these? One, calculations in respect of school fees, where the fees are to take care of many items to the extent that they're hardly enough to run the school. With the owners, and the owners are struggling to survive. I think it's talking about the school owner, if schools will pay taxes. This one says, if I sell 1 or 2 vehicles to either purchase another one or use the money for another investment, would the money be taxed? That's coming from A. Adepoju.
Okay,
all right, responses.
Let's hear you.
Okay, so I would like to start from the last question, where he asked if he sells vehicle, whether it will be taxed. So the new Tax Act provides that you can actually dispose of movable properties to the tune of 5 million in a year, and then you don't pay any tax on it. So if you're selling vehicles, within that period, within one tax year, there's absolutely no tax on it. The same goes for residential property. If you sell off your residential property or land adjoining to your residential property, you don't pay any tax on the gains you have made from it. So the idea of whether you are reinvesting it or not doesn't really apply in that instance. Maybe he's trying to look at it from the angle of the disposal of shares, where it's said that in the Act that where you make a profit of 10 million naira, and then the turnover, the sales, the share value of the shares you sold is above 150 million naira, you also will not pay any tax. But anything above that, you will be taxed, except and unless you reinvest that profit in another shares of another Nigerian company, as it were. Then the school fees. So there are 2 angles to look at it. So it depends on how the school was registered. So if you have registered the school as a non-profit organization, you don't pay income tax on school fees and all that. But some people register schools as companies, as limited liability businesses. In that instances, you are obligated to pay income tax on the profit you have made on that school. So if the school owner has registered that school on as a company, it's expedient that they keep proper records of their expenses So if at the end of the period, your expenses is more than the income you have made, it means you have made a loss. And if you make a loss, you are not expected to pay any tax on it. So that maybe answers that question. About the issue of narrations on bank account, we are back to this issue of bank accounts again. So like Mr. Lamide mentioned, nobody is going to dip hand into your bank account or maybe regards to whatever narration you have put there. What is expected of you is at the end of the year, you self-declare. You know, you let government know this is what I have earned. And I mean, sometimes I'm even looking at the narrations I'm seeing online. It's actually even talking about the expenses. What government is interested in is your income, not your expenses. So you cannot really narrate your income. What you can do at best is some people have come to ask, okay, we are doing some contributions and I'm using my personal account to receive like this ajo people do. And then I don't want government at the end of the year to say these are income because the money are coming from different sources, which could mean that you are doing business. So in that instance, you can encourage the people sending money to you to do proper narration. To say, okay, this money is our monthly contribution towards the end of the year. And government can see that the monies are coming in. At the end of the year, there's actually that money going back to the people who have made those contributions. Yes, so narrations on your expenses is not really what government, whether you use, once your money has entered your account and it has been taxed, whatever you are using it for, as long as it's not an illegal thing, it's not government business whether you use it to pay school fees or you use it to go to club or bar. That's your own, at your own discretion. What government is interested in is the money that's coming. So
what about civil servants who already pay tax? I mean, we're being taxed, deducted from source.
Yes.
So what about civil servants? Because these days civil servants are encouraged to do, you know, one or two other businesses to survive. Yeah. So if you have a side hustle that pays you, would you also pay tax on that even when you're being taxed already?
Yes, definitely.
So how do you harmonize that? How do you, your salary? How do you take away your salary from the small?
It's quite simple. So your organization is expected to deduct and remit your PAYE on your behalf and pay it to the state where you are resident. NTA has offices across the country, so you pay to the state where the staff is resident. At the end of the year, the staff is also expected to go and file. So in filing your returns is to say, okay, this is how much I earned as salary, this is how much has been deducted, this is how much I earned from my other side hustles. So everything will now be aggregated and then tax will apply.
So from what you're saying,
you won't pay the
From what you're saying, whether or not you're being taxed by your organization, you still need to file individually.
Individually, if you are making side hustle.
Yes.
Like,
even if you don't have side hustle,
you still need to file.
You still need to file.
Okay, so yes. We better inform our contribution group that they need to put narration when they are
not in any contribution group.
So I also have some contributions that came in from. Let me begin with Jane. She said unemployed citizens benefit from taxes even if they don't pay because tax fund public services, everyone uses health, tax enables social welfare programs, tax fund creation and job creation and community programs, etc., etc. That's coming from Jane. Another one said, good morning, Chooks from Delta. Gentlemen and ladies in the studio, please, how will the salary earners taxation be done going forward? I just discovered a surging increase of tax deduction from my salary in December 2025. I earned 5 million and 251,000 tax was deducted from my account, leaving me with 4.7 million. Please, how is the new tax exercise applicable to salary accounts? That's Jukes from Delta. Another one said, non-Nigerians who come to Nigeria to buy goods and export to neighboring countries, will they pay taxes? And these foreigners come in with huge naira and some of them even have Nigerian bank accounts. How can their tax be determined? Nigerians in diaspora who don't have businesses in Nigeria but have Nigeria accounts and they fund these accounts from outside, how would their taxes be determined? Another one said, good morning, erudite speakers and presenters. What is the position of taxes charged by subnationals? That is such tax as consolidated emblem, drivers and conductors badge, gaseous emissions, hackney permits, operation permit, mobile advert, radio and TV permit. Will the new tax law clear the tout of the road now? That's from Abu Jibril. Mr. Femi.
Okay.
How will you clear the tout on those?
I've addressed that earlier.
Yes.
The Joint Revenue Board have come together
Yes.
to have a resolution. And one thing is that they are banning the stickers they have to have an harmonized tax regime. And they already provided, and that is what most of the states are domesticating now, aside from the presumptive tax, which is before the Minister of Finance to sign off, being the one that has the power to do that. So we are going to see a transformation in that area. We are expecting that to happen. And so I believe I've addressed that one. Then the issue of somebody asked one question now.
Yes, non-Nigerians who come to Nigeria.
Non-Nigerians who come to Nigeria to buy goods. Now, they come to do what? They export. So we don't charge tax on export because what? They bring the money into Nigeria and they buy for export. And the tax that would have been chargeable would have been VAT. But because they are exporting it, we don't charge tax on such is exempt. And why? We encourage them to bring the money into Nigeria so that Nigerian businesses can thrive. So those are not taxable. However, if they earn income in Nigeria, that is when we will now tax them. But for now, since they're not earning income, Nigerians in diaspora sending money into Nigeria, of course, they are not earning the income in Nigeria and no one is taxing them. We even encourage them, send this money into Nigeria. However, if that money is sent into a bank account, like you said, they have a bank account. Let's say it's a savings account. A savings account is meant to also, it's an investment account, you know? The savings account will now earn interest. The interest is what may be taxable.
Okay.
So
Another
not
one,
the money.
yes. Yeah, no. So what are the penalties for non-compliance with the new tax law, and will they be enforced? What measures are in place to prevent abuse of power from tax authorities? That's talking about transparency and accountability.
Well, the law is there. The law is clear. So when you say there's an abuse of power, many times we also train our staff to what? Follow the rules. Now, penalties, I actually don't like talking about penalties like I'm just telling people that I know you are going to fail, so I'm going to punish you. So I always don't like talking about it. However, there are penalties in the law, and they were like Ben said, they are now being updated. So when people say they are more severe now, but for me, they're being updated.
So what are in place to prevent abuse of power by tax authorities?
Power. Okay. Now, in fact, this tax reform has what we call, there's something called Office of the Tax Ombuds that was also created in line with this tax reform, because they said when you need to get a service from the tax authority and the tax authority is not providing that for you, you have someone to run to. So this tax reform created a new office called the Office of the Tax Ombuds. The Office of the Tax is an independent office that ensures that taxpayers who are aggrieved by services or could not get service from the tax authority can go there and seek redress. And the ombuds can call the tax authority to order to ensure that the taxpayer's right is being maintained. So that is one great part of it. Aside that, we also have the Tax Appeal Tribunal that the taxpayers can go to where they believe the assessment that has been raised on them, it is not correct. They go to Tax Appeal Tribunal. And this is a quasi-court, which is provided for tax purpose alone. If you go there and you are still aggrieved, the law still allows you to go to the courts. And so there are processes of seeking redress in taxation.
Has the Tax Appeal Tribunal been set up already?
No, it's been there from time immemorial. It's been there. They are in session. It's been set up since.
Okay.
Even tax ombuds is set up. Everyone is.
Okay, Mr. Farouk, from an analyst point of view, what should what should we watch out in the first 1 year of the implementation of this tax?
In the first 1 year of the implementation, I think people will begin to see the relief that this new tax law comes with. If formally, you have been charged this much, from your personal income account, so you begin to see that you'll be charged this less. So by so doing, people will now have a change of mindset from the wrong narrative that was passed. They will begin to embrace it and accept it. And also from the government side, we expect that there will be more revenue, generation, which means that it will translate into infrastructural development. We'll see more roads built, hospitals being upgraded, and more hospitals being built, education sector and all other, key important, sector of the economy. By so doing, we'll see improvement in all of these things. And the foreign direct investment that you have mentioned, investors will have more confidence that, look, the government is making more money for infrastructural development, electricity, road infrastructures and whatnot. So overall, within this 1 year, the skepticism, the fear, the anxiety that, has heralded, the media space will be doused down, and people will begin to, embrace it. And
all right. Many
life will be
thanks.
better.
Many thanks, Mr. Abdullahi. We need to run last thoughts in 30 seconds. Critics say that this would not fix Nigeria's revenue problem. They say the challenge is actually accountability, trust, and implementation. Do you agree?
Well, I think it's neither here nor there. My take is that this new reform is intended to help fix these very problems. But as we begin implementation, we'll begin to see if there are any gaps that government will need to fill as we make progress. But overall, the simplification of the process is definitely going to bring more persons into the tax net. And at the end of the day, we have more persons in the tax net, more businesses in the tax net. Overall, over time, the tax will definitely grow.
Mr. Olarinde, 30 seconds.
The final words.
Well, for me, this is a transformative. It's for business sector. I expect the business sectors to be speaking right now to actually. I believe maybe they're still also studying, and like you said, in short run, I'm sure everyone will be clear, and the economy will be better for it.
All right. With more revenue done
yes,
by
I would hope
NRS,
the
does it
states-
mean
this-
more revenue for you as a staff of NRS, by the way?
Because you people are going to make a huge lots of money.
Well, I don't believe that
There will be
we're
so
going
much
to-
money in the
short
NRS.
run. In the short run, revenue is not going to increase
Okay.
in the short run because government is giving away a lot of revenue. But we believe that it's going to expand the tax base.
But
It will
we know
make
that the
more people
customs,
comply.
immigrations, and all that,
All right. Many thanks, Femi Olarinde, Head Fiscal and Tax Reform Implementation Division, Nigeria Revenue Service. Thank you for being our guests. We hope to have you some other time, of course, as this becomes clearer and implementation picks up. Thank you so much, Farouk Abdullahi, financial analyst. It was indeed a pleasure to have you in our studio.
Thank you.
Benjamin Enamudu, Chairman, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Abuja and District Society. Thank you so much for being our guest. Of course, we look forward to having you in more conversations. So that's our package this morning, and good morning, Nigeria. Many thanks for being a part of it. I'm Ian Ray John. Live locked on the NTA.
And I'm Juma Yusuf. Enjoy the rest of your day.